Susan Eads was just 19 years old.
Tenacious, fearless.
She was living with her family in Seabrook, Texas, and working part-time at a local bar. On August 30th, 1983, Susan was seen leaving work late at night. The next day, her body was found in an empty lot in Seabrook. Police say she was sexually assaulted and strangled to death with a piece of her own clothing. Nearly 4 decades passed with no answers or closure for her family.
We have put together all kinds of scenarios for 35 years.
Detectives had a sketch of a man known as Cowboy and spent decades following leads.
You get invested emotionally in these cases, emotionally in a good way.
But they didn't get a break in the case until 2018.
Hello? Hello?
When Susan's mother received these mysterious phone calls.
You have some pictures of her, you told me. I'd like to see them.
Just you, I ain't gonna show them to anyone else.
Those calls, obtained by KHOU in Houston, Texas, brought new attention to the case. Shortly later, the DPS crime lab in Houston decided to retest old evidence.
It was not in bad condition, which is another reason why I think we were actually able to receive or obtain a DNA profile.
They found DNA on the piece of clothing used to strangle Susan. With that, they developed a suspect's profile.
It's kind of the equivalent of reading a book and 27% of the words are missing.
To figure out the rest, they handed over the profile to genealogists, who spent months comparing the DNA to online ancestry profiles. And finally, in May of this year, a match came through a distant relative. The killer was Arthur Davis, a perfect match to that cowboy sketch. A huge win. Only to find out that Arthur Davis is dead. He died in a car accident 4 months after Susan's death.
I won't say it's a hollow victory because it's an amazing victory, but it is a little disconcerting that he won't get his justice in this world.
No justice in this case, but for the family, they have something else.
Just some peace.
But they'll always wonder, why did Arthur do it?
Somebody out there knows him. Somebody out there knows who he was and what he was about, especially at that time in August of 1983.
We are joined by reporter Grace White from KHOU in Houston, Texas. So first and foremost, thank you for joining us, Grace. And here's the thing, the DNA names Arthur Davis as the killer. So please tell us, who was he and any idea what his motive was?
We don't know the motive right now, but we do know Davis was 35 years old, a Vietnam vet, a fishing boat captain, and ironically, he was killed just a few months after Susan's murder from injuries he sustained in a car crash. So an interesting turn of events.
Now, Grace, there were other similar Texas cold cases in the 80s. Is there any chance that Arthur was connected to any of those?
That's what's so fascinating about this technology, the forensic genealogy that gave us Davis's DNA. They can now use that DNA to compare against other cold cases here in Texas, and we have a lot of them. So right now, there's no direct ties to any other cases, but that's definitely something they're looking at because of this breakthrough DNA.
Wow, I wonder if it's going to solve other cases. Unbelievable. So this is a big win for the Eads family, but it's not a closed case. So how can people still help?
They want to hear from people who knew Arthur Raymond Davis. They still want to know, how did he meet Susan Eads, and what was their relationship? There's still a lot of unknowns around this case. Of course, they want to answer the big question of motive, and they're asking anyone with information.
Thank you. Thank you, Grace. And I hope that they can find those answers for the peace of the family, for the victim and her legacy. We appreciate you, Grace. To learn more about this case, maybe one of the DBL Nation out there will have some sort of an answer. So please visit KHOU.com, and to listen to the new podcast episode that is out right now, just search Strangled in Seabrook, Solving the Susan Eads Case on your favorite podcast player. Thank you, Grace. We'll be right back.